Hi everyone, I'm Sarah and today I'm sharing everything I knit and sewed in May. I finished up quite a few items in May, 3 that I sewed and 2 that I knitted. One of those knitted items took many months, but I did finish it in May, and that is this one. But I'm going to start today's video by talking about the sewn items first. So the first thing I'd like to show you is my True Bias Quinn pattern. So this is a new release by True Bias. It can be made as a vest. There are 2 different lengths for the vest, or you could also make it as a dress, and there are 2 different lengths for the dress. I really love this pattern. I love the look of all of the different versions, but for myself, I decided that the short vest would be the most practical and the best addition to my wardrobe. So that is what I made. I have some really beautiful material I'm planning to make into some pants a little later this year, and I would like to also squeeze out this vest pattern. So I thought I would try and do a toile first using a less expensive fabric that I found at Spotlight, and it is a lightweight denim fabric. I have to say I'm really happy with the way this one turned out. So here it is here. As you can see, it's made of this very lightweight denim. The back of the neckline is finished with bias binding, as are the armholes. And then there is a facing that is around the front and a separate hem facing as well. There is a sew along that True Bias put out on YouTube for this pattern, and I think there were 5 videos for it. And I watched them all as I made the pattern, and they were absolutely fantastic. Very clear. Really lovely pacing, and it was just really enjoyable to sew along with the help of these videos. I was never confused about anything. I mainly just used the videos, to be honest, to sew up the whole thing. Occasionally I'd look at the instructions, but mainly that was if I was watching something else and I didn't want to have to turn that off to look at the video instructions again. So yeah, very happy with this one. Now the fit, I decided to go with the size that corresponded the best with my bust measurements. I was worried it would be a little bit, it could be a little bit tight around my waist. Because I was making the short vest version, I didn't really have to worry so much about the fit of the hips. So I decided to go for a size 12 with this one. I think that I chose the right size. It fits really well. There is a little bit of extra room in the waist because at the back, you've got this sweet little tie and buckle feature. So if you wanted to pull it in tighter, then you can. For me personally, I went to Button Mania. I'm very lucky to live very close by to an excellent button shop where I found this buckle. And then I bought my buttons there too. So they didn't have that many buckles to choose from in the size that I needed. So we started with the buckle for this one and then chose buttons that would match as well. This one you can see it has princess seams. So the pieces that you're actually sewing with are quite small. So I am hoping that even if I cut out my pair of pants in my other fabric, that hopefully I should have enough small pieces of fabric left to be able to cut out another one of these, because yeah, I really love it. I actually haven't had the opportunity to wear it yet. I finished it just as the weather got colder. I have tried it on and I am looking forward to wearing it. I've also mocked up a couple of outfits that I think it could look really good with. I think this will look particularly good with a couple of my skirts that I've made. A tiered skirt and a rah-rah skirt, I think this will work with. I've seen a lot of people styling these just as a top by themselves. For me, when I tried this on by itself, I feel a little bit too exposed. It's a bit too low cut for me to feel comfortable, and then there's a little bit of gaping around the arms as well. So if I wanted to wear it by itself, I'd need to do some work on the fit, I think. But I think this will look really good just with a white t-shirt underneath, and I'm looking forward to giving that a go. So yeah, I would highly recommend this pattern, and especially would recommend following along with the videos if you do decide to make it. The next item I sewed was a Patina Blouse by Friday Pattern Company. This is a pattern I've sewn before twice, once in the short sleeve version and another in the long sleeve version. I really loved my long sleeve version, but I wasn't happy with the fit of that one. The shoulder seam in particular was just not in the right spot. It was just too far over my shoulder. And then also the whole thing felt a little bit too low cut again. And that one I made in a really drapey fabric. I think it was a viscose. and I think that had something to do with it, but I decided I wanted another one of these, and this time I was going to size down. So the next one I made was a size medium, and I made this one in an embroidered linen that I found on Etsy. I really love the look of embroidered fabrics, and I found this one that's in kind of a natural kind of colorway. To me, I kind of call it an oatmeal, and then it's got these beautiful embroidered flowers on it. It's a bit crumply, sorry about that, but I really loved this fabric and I thought it would make a lovely patina blouse. So as I said, this time I made it in a size medium, and I'm much happier with the fit of this one. Now, one of the challenges I did have with working with this fabric was because of these embroidered sections, some of the fabric that I was working with was quite thick, quite bulky, and especially in the collar, I feel sometimes that maybe it's just a little bit puffy, but I still really like the overall look of this one. I have made the long sleeve version again. I love the look of these sleeves that kind of billow over the top of the cuff. As this one has quite a deep V-neck, I knew that I wouldn't have to actually undo the buttons to be able to get it over my head. So for this one, the only functional buttonholes that I made were on the cuff because I definitely do need to undo the cuffs to be able to put on the shirt, but I don't need to undo the ones that go down the middle. So these buttons have just been sewn all the way through, and I didn't sew the placket down. There is still a gap, but the buttons are sewn all the way through. So this shirt I've managed to wear a few times this month. The linen is actually quite a heavyweight linen. It's very much a winter weight, so it's been really, really lovely for cooler days. And I have styled this in a couple of different ways. The first time with a Tiama skirt by Caledonia Dreamin', and I felt really good in this particular outfit. And then I've tried it with two different pinafores, one of which is brand new, and I'll talk about that next. But I have worn this with one of my Aura pinafores by Soften Studio, my heavyweight navy blue corduroy version. And I found this to be a very comfortable outfit. And I like the way the Aura pinafore with its deep V-neck complements this particular blouse with its deep V-neck as well. So yeah, I'm really happy with that addition to the wardrobe, and I'm glad I went with a size M for this one. It's interesting, when I look at the measurements on the size guide, my bust measurement puts me in a size large, and then my waist and my hips put me at the lower end of a size extra large. And I have made patterns from Friday Pattern Company before that I have had to go to the extra large. But for this one, it seems that the medium gives me the best fit. I mentioned I had been wearing my patina blouse a third way, and that was just the other day where I tried it with my newest make, and that is the Audrey pattern by Veronica Tucker. So this particular pattern has a lot of elements that you can mix and match to make a blouse or a dress, sleeveless, with sleeves, different lengths, all sorts of different combinations. I think there are 36 combinations that you can end up with if you play around with all the different elements. I decided to go with one of the very simple options, which was a V-neck sleeveless short dress. And my aim was to be able to wear it as a pinafore. So I think I've seen Veronica on her Instagram wearing like an Audrey blouse and then styled with this Audrey sleeveless V-neck dress. And I really liked the look of that. And I do love wearing pinafores. I wear them a lot, and I thought this could be a good addition as well. So I've used the same fabric for this one as I did for my True Bias Quinn Vest, and it's just a lightweight denim that I got from Spotlight. With that many elements that you can mix and match to make your desired garment, I didn't find the instructions all that clear as to where to be looking. I think that could be improved a little bit as to, if you're doing this version, look at this page. If you're doing this one, it was a little bit, you sort of had to figure it out for yourself, I thought. The other thing was, because there are so many pattern pieces, there was a page in her pattern that, that said, here are all the pattern numbers and what they're called. So for example, pattern piece 8 is your V-neck front facing, for example. And then you could go down and you could look at the version that you're making and then what pattern pieces that you needed. But in those pattern pieces, she just wrote the names of the pattern pieces and didn't give you the number. So trying to find those pattern pieces and read all the words, just those little things, it would make such a difference if she'd written, okay, for the sleeveless short dress, you will need pattern pieces 2, 3, 8, 10, 11, rather than you'll need V-neck facing front sleeveless, you'll need V-neck facing, yeah, it was just a lot of words to have to read, whereas the numbers would have made it much simpler and quicker. So the actual sewing was pretty easy. This version, there weren't many pieces. It was just the front, the back, and the facings. So it was pretty quick to sew up. Another thing that I noticed was missing was how to do the V-neck facing. There was nowhere, and I've just checked again, there was nowhere in the pattern a mention that you would have to snip through the seam allowance to the V, to that point, so that you'd get a clean point when then you turned it inside out. And that was just something I knew from experience. And then I sort of, you start to second guess yourself and think, I'm pretty sure I have to do that. I think I ended up going to find my Aura pinafore pattern because I knew it had a facing and I knew it had a V-neck. And I used that to help me with my confidence of that section as well. So it probably took me a little bit longer to make this dress than it should have, just because I just didn't find it very easy to read the pattern. And it's probably because there are so many different versions that you can do. She gave the instructions for one particular view, and then you had to sort of look through the pattern to find your alternate versions if you were doing a version that was not the same as her. The other thing that took me ages was that with the burrito method, trying to pull the entire dress through the shoulder channel, which was quite narrow, was really hard. And the first time I did it, I thought I must have done something wrong because I just could not get it through. I unpicked it, I did it again. I hadn't done anything wrong. I just had to be patient and keep tugging until the whole thing came through. So I did get it finished. I didn't have enough of this denim fabric to use it for the facings as well. So I just found a piece of cotton that I had in my stash that I'd never used for the facings. And that happened to be a dinosaur themed cotton that I must have been planning to make shorts or something for my children once upon a time. The facing is my other issue with this pattern. So here is the dress. If I'm to turn it inside out and show you, now the pattern says to use as a overlocking stitch on the bottom of the facing to finish that edge. I don't have an overlocker, so I have turned mine up a couple of times, but just a small amount. But you can see here, the front facing, it's just so short. All right, so there's a bust dart here, and then the facing just goes underneath. And if I hadn't rolled up that hem, it might be slightly lower. But I find that when I put that on, that facing, it just cuts right across my bust line and it's visible. And when I put this on the other day, I was like, oh, something's got caught. My top underneath's got caught. But no, it was just the facing. And I feel like that needs to be at least a couple more inches long so that you don't see that line. It should come, in my opinion, it should come underneath the bust. So just a little niggle with that one as well. But I wore this to work the other day. I styled it with, again, my Patina blouse, and I had some compliments about how cute it looked together. So there is a possibility that I'll make this pattern again. I'm not sure. I mean, I have spent all that money on the pattern, so it would be a waste to not make at least 2 garments out of it. And this fabric was not the best quality fabric in the world. And maybe if I made one with like a black linen or a blue linen or something like that, I might be happier with it. I would definitely extend the length of the facing. But yeah, that is my Audrey dress by Veronica Tucker. The other thing I've noticed with this dress is that it kind of does sit a little bit further back on my shoulders, and it gives me kind of an unintentional high-low effect, like the hem at the front sort of sits higher than the back, but it's nothing too major that I would get too worried about. So that's all the things I sewed up in May, and I also have a couple of finished items from my knitting projects. And the first one I'll show you is this beanie. So this particular beanie is a pattern by Knitwits and Yarns, and it's a free pattern, and it's called the retro style beanie, I think. And I suppose the idea of it is that you can customize it to any team or theme that you want. So for me personally, I spend a lot of time on the weekends and during the week at my son's soccer matches and training. And his outfit is a navy blue top that's got this gold band, which is bordered by white stripes. So I decided to make this and have my own special team beanie. This was a really, really fun pattern. I think I mentioned it was free. It uses 2 strands of 8-ply yarn on pretty big needles. I think they were 8mm from memory, and it just knit up so fast. So really enjoyable to knit and really enjoyable to sort of come up with how I was going to, he has a lot of, I think they're called schematics. Could be wrong, but basically different pictures of different designs and how much, which rows you would do different colors. So I sort of tried to choose the one that I thought would match best, but then I also added the extra stripes in with the white. I have made a pom-pom on top. You can probably see it's a bit wonky. It's a little bit flat on 2 of the sides. I'm not a pom-pom expert. I don't enjoy making them, I've discovered. I think if you don't look closely, it looks cute. The yarn I used for this was the recommended yarn in the pattern, and that was a Cleckheaton Country 8-ply, and that comes in a lot of different colors. I just looked online and found a shop that had the 3 colors that I was wanting, which were this navy blue, white and gold. And I've got a lot of it left over, but none of the navy, unfortunately. So yeah, I would make a couple more of them, but I've only got the yellow and the white left. So maybe one day I'll get some more of the dark blue, because yeah, that's the one you need most of. It's got a turned up rim. Yeah, it was very, very easy and quick to knit, and I would definitely recommend that pattern, especially if you've got an outdoor team that you go and support and you want to, wear the team colors. So that brings us to the cardigan I'm wearing right now, which is the Whitmoor Cardigan by Amy Loudon. Now, if you've been following my channel, you will have heard me talk about this before, because I started it last September and it took me until May to complete it. So this one is knit up in a 8-ply, and the yarn that I've used is the most beautiful combination. It's from Black Wattle yarn, and this one is a combination of baby alpaca, silk and cashmere. It is so soft. So right now I'm just wearing it over the top of a singlet. So a lot of it is touching my skin, and it's just beautiful to touch. It's got a really lovely drape to it as well. It was pretty expensive wool, but yeah, I really enjoyed knitting with it, and I'm really loving wearing it. I think it will pill quite a bit, but I'll just put up with that for such a beautiful feeling wool. You can see under the arm there already, there's quite a bit of pilling. So this pattern, things I really love about it, the yoke basically. This lace work was really enjoyable to knit. I love the effect of it. Yeah, and that's what drew me to the pattern, was this lace work. And yeah, it was an easy, I think I followed the written instructions. So she's got the pattern written out as a chart or as written instructions. And for this one, I decided to follow the written instructions. Just so it was clearer for me to follow that in this case. What I didn't enjoy about this pattern, and you will have heard me talk about this before if you've watched my channel, was the fact that the button bands are knit at the same time as knitting the rest of the pattern. So what you're doing is you've got most of the stitches on your regular circular needle on a long cable, but then on the end of each row, you've also got more needles. So you've got another needle, a double pointed needle at the end of each end with 10 stitches on it that has the button hole or the button band stitches. because they're knit on a smaller needle. And then you're also doing your buttonholes and things like that. Now, the theory is great, and you end up, you know, you don't have to pick up any stitches and do the buttonholes at the end, which was handy. You also have this really clean seam, like there isn't a seam. It just goes straight from bodice to button band without any seam. So in the end, it works out really nicely. But as I was doing it, I just found this so frustrating and just difficult to work with. The start and end of every row was just uncomfortable because of this extra needle and trying not to let stitches from either needle fall off while you're working on the other one. So I feel like it just slowed me down, and I just felt frustrated at the start and end of every single row. So not ideal. It's not what you want when you're doing a knitting project. So that was the main thing. I mean, apart from that, honestly, the rest of it was just enjoyable. So this pattern does also come in a sweater version. So if you love the lace work, but you're wanting to avoid that issue with the needles, I would probably go with the sweater version. If you're game to try that with the double pointed needles on the ends, then go for it. But yeah, you've been warned. I just picked up some cheap buttons from Spotlight. I was very keen to finish this, so they're nothing fancy, the buttons, but they work with the color. This cardigan, there are a couple of different options. You can make a shorter length version or you can make a long length. I think I made the short one, but it's still slightly too long for my preference. I end up tucking it in. I've ended up tucking it in each time I've worn it. I don't really like the way it sort of just droops. And interestingly, in all of the pattern pictures, like the promotional pictures, the designer has also got hers tucked in. There are also two different sleeve designs that you can choose from. So I've gone with the regular tapered sleeve version, but there's also a balloon sleeve, which would have a lot more volume at the bottom. And in fact, I really love that look. And in fact, when I decided to make this pattern, I bought enough yarn to make that version because I thought I was going to. But after finishing the bodice, I was pretty keen to just finish the cardigan. And I also just thought, on a practical sense, to be able to wear it under jackets and things like that, just a tapered sleeve would be more practical. So this one I've worn quite a few times already this month. I absolutely love it. I'm so proud of it. It goes really nicely with a woolen skirt that I made. Again, this is a Tiama skirt by Caledonia Dreamin'. And I made this one in a dead stock Italian wool. And I love this combination. This was my absolute favorite outfit of the month in May. And then I've also worn it with black jeans a couple of times. So I'm very happy with it, and I know it's going to get a lot of wear. So that is everything I made in the month of May. Thank you so much for joining me. I'll be back soon with a video on how my June makes and plans are going, and I hope I'll see you again then. Bye-bye.